You know what inspires me? Fearlessness, drive. I hate lazy people. Barb, stay in school. Don't you ever be lazy. Don't you ever complain about hard work. Work hard, pay yours.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
Delicious. Well, I wish I knew before applying to uni. Because trust me, I have a lot of regrets. Number one, be authentic in your personal statement. Trust me, because you will read so many personal statements and you will think you need to write in a certain style. You will think you need to portray yourself in a certain way. Do not fake your personal statement, because that's like one of the biggest things that unis will look at. Be authentic in your personal statement. Write it how you want. Write it organically. Don't try and use someone else's vocabulary, someone else's semantics. It needs to be authentically and fully you. And you need feedback on your personal statement. Please, please, please do not submit it without asking people to check through it, to read through it. I had so many people read through mine, and only have people who you trust, because sometimes you don't want to have like information overload. If you send it to too many people, you'll get too confused on like what exactly you need to fix, okay? Number two, you are applying to the city as well as you are applying to the uni. If you're applying to Manchester Uni, you're going to be living in Manchester. So if you do not like Manchester, why would you go to Manchester University? It doesn't make sense, but also who doesn't like many? I mean, if you're coming from abroad to UK unis, American unis, Australian unis, you need to research into the city. You need to figure out what it actually like is living in the city. Type in Reddit, type into YouTube, day in life of a University of Manchester student, University of Imperial College London student. What's it like to be a student in Imperial College London? You need to actually figure out what it is like and whether you will like that lifestyle, because it is extremely shit to go to university and figure out you do not like the lifestyle, you do not like how the city is. If you don't like the city, you will not like the university. Well, I mean you can, but it's very hard. Something else that falls under this category is if you want to go to university in London, but you don't like London, don't go to uni in London. Unless it's like Imperial or LSE, or like you really want to go to a big name uni, then that's fine. But London is expensive, right? And you need to make the decision whether you want to apply there, you don't want to apply there, you don't mind. Because living costs in London is insane. You'll have to think about transport, because a lot of the accommodation in London universities are separate from the campus, because the campus is in the city. So you need to think about transport, food costs, whether you're actually willing to pay higher prices for accommodation. If you like a beautiful scenic city, go to Durham, go to Bath. There are so many options. And if you if you want a city with good nightlife, go to Bristol, apply to Bristol. Like, there are so many options. You need to when, as an international student myself, I had no clue what I was doing. For me, like, these universities were just names. I didn't know what was behind that name, what steps that came after that, or what was like actually involved. I just heard the names. I just heard Imperial College London. I just heard London School of Economics, University of Manchester, University of Surrey. I only heard these names, but I didn't really know what that actually meant. So research into the city, man. This is one thing I really wish I did. Number three. Research into accommodation. Oh my god. Do not pick your accommodation randomly.
Okay, my apologies, Miss Girl.
Miss who?
This is one thing I was really glad I did. Like, I properly researched into my accommodations. And so for Sheffield, right, I had two options. I had Allen Court, the one that's in the city, and Ramrun Incliffe, which is like a 15-minute bus journey from our buildings. And it's like more of the party life cultures there. Allen Court is more quiet. And initially I thought I wanted to be part of the party culture, to enjoy like time there, and because they're the biggest student villages within Sheffield Halls. So I was like, I want to go there. But you need to watch YouTube videos. Other people are making content about accommodation, about university accommodation, and you need to watch that. Because if I didn't watch that, then I would have ended up in NCLIF and I would have hated it. Like, don't just like skim through it. It is so important you properly go through it. Like, for example, I have a friend who's in a London uni, right? And he had the option of living closer to his campus, but he had to pay like around 200 per week for that. So he's actually living further out, and he's paying like 160 a week, and it takes him like 40 minutes by the tube to get to campus. That's like a personal choice he's made, just because he's not willing to pay higher prices. So just keep that in mind, because you know, the walk from your accommodation to your campus is what you're going to be doing every day, and it's just important to have a nice place to live. Scholarship. 4. Look for scholarships and financial aid. If you're applying to American universities, every single university you apply to will be offering financial aid. Common App is very easy. It has a section on financial aid. If you're not able to afford fees, if you need financial aid, apply to financial aid. I kid you not, American unis are extremely generous with their financial aid. My friend, she applied for financial aid for NYU and she got a full scholarship ride. It is actually insane, because if a university wants you, if an American university actually wants you in their course, in their university, they will be willing to cover in any amount of money to get you into the university. So don't be afraid, don't be scared that you cannot afford uni, or that you don't have enough finances, your parents don't have enough money. Apply for financial aid, because it is so important. On the flip side, look at scholarships. There are so many scholarships being offered, merit-based scholarships, grants, university grants, university scholarships. I know University of Sheffield offers merit-based scholarships. University of Toronto offers the Pearson International Scholarship, which is a full ride for 3 years. So look at all your options, because having a scholarship is, you're just set, bro. Like, it is banging. Because if you're not paying money, that helps you in the long run. Like, it is insane how much scholarships help you, how much financial aid will actually help you. So I really do recommend checking out financial aid, applying for financial aid. 5. Know your predicted grades and have a backup plan. These two are kind of interlinked, because when I applied to university, I thought I knew my predicted grades, because, okay, it's very complicated, but when I applied to universities with all the same entry requirement, which is A star AA, right? My counselor did not even tell me my predicted grades. I had to ask her. When I asked her, she said A star / A. When a counselor tells you A star / A, that is incorrect. You need to ask for a specific grade, whether it's A star or A, because the difference between A star and an A is very massive. And you need to ask specifically, because A star / A is not a grade. You cannot be predicted a /A. That's not how it works. And so I was under the impression that I actually had the grades when I did it. With predicted grades, if you do not agree with your predicted grades, talk to your careers teacher. No, talk to your subject teachers. Talk to them, tell them, look, I want to apply to this place, I want to apply to this university. Can you make it higher? Like, bring out evidence from your past tests. Like, look, I've achieved an A in my past tests, and I've done really well in my A-levels or in my AS, or could you just make it higher for me? Teachers are willing to compromise if you have backed up evidence, right? And so trust me, put in the work for your unit test, because that will count towards your predicted grade. Predicted grades are stupidly, ridiculously important. If you do not make those requirements, you are not going to university. Simple. You're gonna go through clearing. And so I'm telling you now that I was extremely arrogant in that I knew I would get A star AA, right? Which I ended up not getting just because of how things worked out. So I was kind of fucked. I got an offer from Bristol and I didn't meet it, so I went through clearing. I didn't even have an insurance just because of how things worked out, which I'll explain in a later video. How I recommend you to apply to universities is have 1 aspiring, 2 unis that are at your level, and 2 backups. So let's say my predicteds are 3 A's, right? I'll apply to 3 universities with the predicted grades of 3 A's, and then 2 universities of AAB or ABB. Okay? Because it is better you have an insurance than to go through clearing, because clearing is mentally fucks you up. It is not a fun time. So please do not go through clearing. Apply to universities. Give yourself leverage. Give yourself room to breathe. Give yourself some room for if you do not meet those requirements. You need to have a backup A and backup B. For me, I didn't have any backups, and I fell through the ground. It destroyed me, okay? So don't be cocky, don't be arrogant. Apply to universities with lower predicted grades and apply one thing you need to understand is if a uni has lower predicted grades than lower grades than the rest, like UCL, whatever, it does not mean it is a bad uni. Number 6, literally apply everywhere. So I'm speaking more to like international students, to students who actually want to apply abroad. Because I came from like the Middle East, right? So I applied to Canada and UK. But I only applied to 6 unis. My biggest regret is not applying to more. I wish I applied to American unis. I wish I applied to Yale. I wish I applied to all these other universities in America, in Australia. Yes, you will need to pay waiver fees, but if universities will cover your waiver fee if you cannot afford it. And it is such a small investment in the long run. If you want to apply to Harvard, if you want to apply to Yale, it will be more work, but it will be worth it, right? That you will not have that regret later on, that you know that you've tried. So trust me, it is important. If you want to apply, just apply everywhere, right? Spread yourself out, but don't spread yourself too thin. Don't apply to like 10 million universities. That's insane. Apply to like 10, 12, like a solid amount of universities that you actually want to go to. Don't apply for the sake of applying, because that is a complete waste of time, because you will not end up going to that university. Apply to places you want to go to and that you will end up liking. So it is so important you apply to universities all across the world, I think. If you want to go to America, apply to Canada, apply to Australia. If you don't want to go to these places, then don't apply. But I'm telling you, give yourself a good range of universities that you're applying to, so you have more options in the future. Just make it easier for yourself. And yes, the application process will be a bit. You're going to have to do more work. You're going to have to do a personal statement. You're going to have to do a Common App essay. But the thing is, once you do a Common App essay, that's basically most of your work done for American unis. You'll have to make a university essay, but that's up to you. That's if you're willing to put in more effort, which I think you should, but at the end of the day, it is up to you. 7. This is a harsh reality, but you are going to be rejected. It is very hard dealing with rejection, I know, but you need to be mentally prepared for rejection. Because for me, I don't know what I expected, but I got rejected out of 4 out of 5 universities, and for me that hurted, that hurted. But and nothing can prepare you for the feeling of rejection, but just be prepared. Like, always have that idea present in your mind, whether it is your dream university or not. Do not automatically assume you will be accepted, because you will set an expectation that you may not meet. And if you're already thinking of the worst outcome, then you're not going to be surprised by whatever happens in the future, So just be ready for rejection, whether you have dealt with it or not. It is a very shit feeling, but rejection will happen. Universities will not. There will be people who are more competitive applicants. And so for me, when I applied to the Pearson International Scholarship for the University of Toronto, I literally poured my whole soul into this essay. I got my teachers to read it. I got one teacher I really trust to read it and give feedback. I got it. I got a senior and a really close friend to read through it. And so I thought it was fucking banging. Like, I was like, damn, bro, like, if I don't get it, and I didn't get in. No matter how good that essay I thought it was, they it's like a 5% success rate. So I was really setting myself up for failure by thinking like, damn, this essay is so good, I'm gonna get in. No. This mindset is really like what sets you off. Because it will have long-term lasting impact. So trust me, just prepare for rejection, whether you like it or not. Like, life is shit.